Okay, Scott, it's all yours.
Perfect. Good morning, everybody. I want to, Tracy and I greatly appreciate y'all coming or the Zoom and learning from these great agents here. So what I wanted to do was start off and let them introduce themselves and tell us how long they've been in the business. So Erica, would you like to start?
Yes, Erica Oliver, and I have been in the business for 10 years.
I'm Rachel Canifax, and I have been in the business almost 13 years, I think.
Perfect.
Tracy Amaya, I don't know, 30 years plus.
Very good.
Sonia Leonard, 20 years.
Excellent. And the panel here is excellent with follow-up and customer appreciation. So we're going to kind of discuss that now. And I guess we'll start on the end there, and everybody can kind of throw in a answer what they like to do. Now that fall and winter is here, what touch points do you use regularly, like cards, carving contests, and all that, to reach out to your clients?
So to reach out to my clients in the fall, I think almost all of us do the pie party. So just the giveaway, I host it at my house. I do a save the date. I send invitations. I used to do print. Now I do it through green envelope and online so that they can RSVP a lot quicker. And then I also call, and so there's several touch points between October and the pie party, which is Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Very good.
Awesome. Well, so since 2014, I had done a Santa event, and I used to have Santa and Mrs. Claus come in my home and read a book while we did cookie decorating. And it was a good way to invite the neighborhood in. Anytime it's marketing, right? It's a write-off too. And I'd also invite clients, and it kind of grew into a bigger event. And other agents were invited in. And I would say that anytime you collaborate with other agents, it's brilliant. It's really fun to do. But this year we shifted gears and we did something a little bit different. We ended up doing mini photo session over at the Grapevine Botanical Gardens, and we had a photographer come in, and it was really fun. It was amazing, and my clients loved it. And we did end up inviting some of our neighbors, potential people to come in too. So it was also a marketing event. But just like Erica, just making sure you're sending the save the date, lots of communication on that. But that way they can use those pictures for Christmas cards, upcoming cards, or just even in their home. And
Very good.
This year, well, obviously I've done an array of things over the years, but I did the Santa pictures of Santa cookies with Santas for the first time ever last year, which was a blast. And but historically I've done for the last probably 10 years, I've done the pie party. I've done it kind of oscillated between delivering them to just my A+, those people who referred me business that year, and or over the previous 24 months. And so I already have a lot of contact with them and deliver their stuff. And then I've gone to, picking the pie up here at the office, and we set this whole cafe up like a big cocktail party, which is a blast. And kids are welcome with that. And then of course the photos with Santa I'll do again this year, which I'm really looking forward to because that's really fun. And yeah, that's what I'm doing this year. Maybe we'll talk about what we've done in the past for those new agents that, this might not be a viable option because it's not a cheap, it's not an inexpensive thing to do.
So much more, the same kind of similar, and lots of outreach. And I think this is definitely the time of the year when you can do that, reaching out to your client base. And I think you need to make sure you touch everybody between now and the end of the year. There's some kind of holiday that you can recognize. And even if it's just, one thing that we do is we write a handwritten note to every member of our database. And it's basically at Thanksgiving. And we just say, we're very grateful to have you as a client to work with. It doesn't take very long to write that. The most inexpensive thing you can do. It touches everybody. And even if you just did that, it's a good start, because like we were saying earlier, the budget is important. We need to be careful where we're spending our money. And some of these events can cost money, and that's okay. But if you're on a budget and you really just want to do something that's easy to do, just sitting down and writing notes just you doing it, you're controlling your own time, you're not having to fit in with other people's timeframes, spend a lot of money. So just start with that, write a note to everybody.
Yeah, that's one of the things I used to would do is buy Christmas cards after Christmas. And I'd start on them in July and just put them on my bookshelf. Well, you're not running through the holiday trying to get all that done. And speaking of the events, this is a two-part question. One is, what kind of turnout do you have? Are you expecting from that? What kind of return on your investment do you have for that? And lastly, a new agent, what would your advice be to them because they're not going to have the big data?
So to answer your second question first, because I'm gonna forget that one, is to partner with, I remember the first year I did my pie giveaway, I was part of Remax Masters back then, which was South Lake. And we had everybody got together. And so you could invite your 1 or 2, 3 people that you could invite while everybody else had their guests, and nobody's going to question you. They're just going to assume it's your party, your get together. Your clients are going to think that hard about why you only have them there at that point in time. You know, people, you do it throughout mine's from 4 to 7. So it's a big window. And some people will come at 4, some people will come right at 7. So people aren't thinking about that. So I would say partner. Find somebody who's motivated that likes to hustle the way you do and get that partnership going and plan early. I do the same thing with my cards. I actually do everything quarterly. My birthday cards, all of my cards are quarterly. And so the next question was, what was the first question? I thought I was going to remember.
Well, no, that's, I probably shouldn't have. So,
That's a lot. The turnout investment.
Yeah, the
I think it's a
turnout
lot of investment.
So I do Buffini, thanks to Sonia, and I plan out my calendar yearly. They have a business building calendar that we can utilize that just helps us plan everything out quarterly. And so when it comes to my budget, I kind of look at what happened. That's a trick question because I feel like pre-COVID, turnout was a lot more, there's a lot more people willing to do it. People got a little comfortable staying home now. So everybody's kind of getting out of not wanting to leave their house. And so since 2020, I've made some adjustments. For my pie party specifically, because it's coming up, I used to buy between 40 and 50 pies. And I always bought extra, so that's not completely there. I had about 40 to 45 RSVPs. And then last year I had 35 people RSVP and 30 people showed up. So it's hit or miss, you know, you do have to take some of that risk that people aren't going to do what they say they're going to do. But budget wise for my events, I plan those out quarterly. I figure those out, what I want to spend, how much I want to do. My pie party probably cost me about $1,500 at the end of it with invitations. That it's everything.
right.
So for me, that's that. I used to do Topgolf. That was a really, really big expense after COVID. In 2021, I had not such a good year, so I stopped doing it. That one cost me about $5,000. But it was worth it. And what I got from that in business wise I would spend 5,000 and make 50 easy.
Right.
And so it's all about weighing the like, is it worth it? And so Topgolf, I kind of shuffled back until people got back in their groove of things and wanted to get back. So I think I'm going to bring it back next year. Took a few years of breaking. And we're going to go back on that. I do Easter pictures with the Easter bunny and do that. That's more affordable. And I have all my vendors help out with that event. They bring eggs, donate food, that kind of stuff.
With that Easter event, that's an excellent idea because Santa, you know, everybody, it's not hard to find a picture of Santa, but the Easter bunny, that's a great idea.
Yeah. And I partnered with one of the agents in the office to host that one. And so that when she had her vendors, we had about 6 vendors a piece. Her and I together didn't spend a dime on the event.
Very good.
Okay, so multiple answers here. So with the Santa event, I'll start with that one. In my home, I will say I had a bigger turnout. It was more intimate. I think that people liked that idea. However, that was after having been in real estate for a while. And so I had a lot of clients and I had people that would come. So, you know, if you're newer in real estate, right, that's probably not going to be the best idea. And partner with people, just like Erica said, you know, when you have a big group of agents, like MMA is now still doing the Santa event. When you have a lot of agents, no one knows if you have 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 clients come. There's just a massive group of people there and it's just fun and it's just this fun atmosphere, right? So it is fun to partner in that respect. And the feedback we got on Santa was they were so thankful not to have to wait for 2 to 3 hours in line, right? To sit on Santa's lap or, you know, whatever. And the photos, they would get a photo maybe. And so this was just a little bit different. It was more intimate and if you do something like that and you do it at home, you can even have Santa hand out treats or whatever, right? So there's that. And like Erica said too, if you have vendors, if you have people that you partner with in real estate, a lot of the events that we do just as a team get completely covered and paid for. And so we actually aren't out money. And when that event started growing and started getting more agents, I still had the same vendors contribute, but because there were more agents and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, it actually became more costly for us as a team and actually cost a lot more money to do that. So you just had to kind of weigh that out. And I will say for the larger client event, I had less clients come, interestingly enough. So that's kind of why we had to reevaluate, is the event working and is it cost effective? It's costing more, we're getting less turnout. Is this the best use of time? So as a team, we had to kind of step back and go, okay, what is the value? The value was pictures. Not everyone celebrates Santa. And we had to think about, are we isolating some clients? So you just have to know your people, right? And know, are you doing events throughout the year so that you're reaching every single demographic too? And we wanted to make sure that we weren't just hitting families, we're just, hitting a certain age group even. We want to make sure that we facilitate and reach out to all of our clients. So that's kind of why we shifted gears, I think, in this one event with pictures, because it includes everyone and it isn't necessarily specific to Santa. And then
I love that.
yeah, and so just having to kind of, I think yearly, every January, we kind of have a vision planning session. And in just what you said, evaluating and saying what worked and what didn't work, and be willing to look at what didn't work and go, okay, can we problem solve that? And then, what can we do to make it better? And always tweaking. I think that's the name of the game. And our business is always evolving and changing. And so we need to be doing the same thing, right? And that's, I heard Tracy say that, like she does different things. Why? Because her clients change and everything changes in real estate. And that's what makes a good agent. It's just someone who's flexible and isn't stuck in the same thing. Well, I do this because I did it for 20 years and I'm gonna keep doing it, right? Okay, and there was another question that you had. Oh, early on. So here, I will say this. When I first started in real estate, it was so expensive to get into real estate in the beginning. And I remember thinking I was just hemorrhaging money, paying all the fees and the dues, and I wasn't making a lot of money. And I remember thinking, how in the world am I going to get my name out there and get business? And I felt like I didn't have much of a budget. We had 4 kids, well, 3 kids at the time. And my husband was an educator. So I'm just saying, like, we had no budget for this. And so I had to get really creative. And one thing I did is we were in a newer neighborhood. They didn't have a Facebook page. So I started a Facebook page. And that was one way to kind of get out there a little bit, right? And I also started doing community events, just facilitating. So I wasn't paying for anything, but I was just trying to get the community together. And during the holidays, I also did a canned food drive, which was completely free, just organized it. So I literally just had our Google Remax logo and my information at the bottom and went door to door introducing myself to the neighborhood and just saying, hey, our local pantry, they're in need of like these items. If you'll just put them on your porch, these 2 days, my family will come pick them up. We just appreciate your support, and just handed them a flyer. It was completely free. It just took a lot of time, but I ended up getting 2 listings out of that very next year. It was completely free. Again, it just took time. So you just have to know where you are in real estate. In the beginning, you have more time. You may not have the money, right? So thinking about things that are free, there's a lot out there. And then I think in the beginning, I also did the dollar store wrapping paper. Haven't we all done that at least once? Thanks for having me wrap up a great year. No one else other than realtors knows that everyone else does that. My clients still thought that was the cutest thing ever. I left it with tape and put on the front porch. It was $3. And they're like, this is so great. I was running out of wrapping paper, right? $3 and driving by. I don't have the time to drive by 100 people's, homes at this point, but it really worked well back then. So.
Those are excellent ideas. The Facebook page, how many members do you have on that?
Well, that was my old neighborhood. They never booted me off, so I'm still on there. There's like 350 some odd members.
That's an excellent idea.
So.
Perfect. Great.
Okay, so tell me the questions again.
Well,
We'll see what it's like. I wonder what this does.
no, that's, we were talking about,
Yeah.
the advice for new agent.
Right.
So we
Got it.
can start with that one.
Okay. So obviously I've tried a lot of things over the years. And some of my, well, let me back up. When it comes to a client appreciation party, I will tell you, when we talk about return on investment, I do not have an answer, because that is not how I approach my events. It really is always about the appreciation. And I'm pretty adamant about that. For the longest time, I never asked a vendor for anything. So because one, it was my party, and I am that control freak. But more importantly, I just didn't feel comfortable doing that. In the beginning, I also had no money and, worked a couple of jobs and all of that. So I come out of the catering business, and for me to do a party for 50, 75 people is no big deal. So I can cook for that many. I have pans for that many, it's not a big deal. So that was very easy for me to do a party in my home, and which I did a lot in there. For many, many years. And my husband also being in education, we kind of combined it with my clients and with his colleagues. And if you have any ties to education whatsoever, it's a big group. So I never really even did it as a marketing piece. It really was just, I really was grateful for these people, and they trusted me. And so that was always my approach. So I couldn't tell you any kind of return on investment. I can tell you the last 5 years, 100% of my business is repeat and referral, without exception. So, so when it comes to a budget, I think your own personal finances need to guide that. If you are doing it as a client appreciation party, if you're doing it as a marketing piece, then that's a totally different animal. And I have done some of that in events in my neighborhood, is case in point. But even that, I also did the Facebook page, and I do own the Facebook page for Wedgwood, which is a pretty sizable neighborhood. And the things that you can do that are community oriented, I have always been all about. And so, I have a lot of things that I've done during the holidays. I will go pick up people at the retirement community and take them to go see Christmas lights. I organize that within my neighborhood. And so I get the drivers, we get the route and all of that. So those are really inexpensive things to do if you want to connect with people in your neighborhood. From a client standpoint, having people in your house, not everybody's comfortable with that. And I would definitely caution anybody listening to this, if what we're talking about, gives you hives and, puts a knot in your stomach, do not do it. It's not worth it. It won't come across as sincere. It's not fun. I'm sure if you ask all of us up here, it's authentic, and I have fun with it. It's my it's my thing. It's what I do. I have, I don't know. One of the things I did early on was like how we do burgers for babies. My first fundraiser was under my carport in December.
Was underneath my
Carport. Oh, carport. Yeah, it was in December. And it was 20 years ago. And it really was, it benefited Cook's NICU. But what I did was, and my clients love this. They're a little off the wall, kind of like me. So I encourage them, bring me your garage sale crap. Just whatever didn't sell in your last garage sale, bring it, and we will auction it off. And this was our fundraiser. And I fortunately had friends who were super creative, and we did a live auction with junk. I mean, a broken toaster, we had a macrame vest, and I'm not exaggerating, it came back 3 years. Because the deal was, if it raised a lot of money, you had to bring it back the next year. And so that thing came back. The last time it came back, we were actually had moved to the ballrooms over at GDRA or whatever. It's not there anymore. So you do what you're comfortable with. Do what's your personality, what like Rachel said, wait, know your people. What are they gonna respond to? And don't overthink it. If it doesn't feel comfortable, do not do it.
And I think, can I tag on to that?
Yes.
I think that's how we measure is not necessarily by monetary, but what's the response? And right, because we'll know by engagement.
So just perhaps I can just pick on a few things that resonated with me as we were going through that. Because we all kind of coming from the same place here, this generating business by referral. And big deal, yes, think about who you are, what do you like to do? And like we were just saying, if you love to cook, that's the most cheapest way to provide food for somebody. If that's not your jam, don't do that. If you like to host, do that. If not, there's other options. Do it in your office. We all have great spaces in our office that we can invite people to without an additional overhead or cost. The working by referral deal, that's many of us just entirely do that. So all that we make at the end of the year is because of what we did throughout the year. And so investing in our clients through meet and greet or client parties or whatever we call it is our marketing. So the ROI that's the marketing budget. So however much money you want to make in the year, the percentage that you put towards marketing, that is what you're going to spend on these client events. So that's and it's also harder for that event to say, I had 50 people come and pick up pies and I got 3 listings next week. Is that a result of the pie party? Well, no, not directly, but yes, it's a result of everything we do. So ROI is kind of a tricky thing. We talked a lot about getting started and what new agents might want to do. That's inexpensive. And of course, we all started somewhere and we all started with no money. As successful as any of us have become, it started at grassroots and saving every penny. But eventually you can build on what you do. So start small, doesn't have to be big, and then you get a feel for it and you can just grow it. Move with the times, we've talked about that. Feedback from your client base, ask them what they like. When we had COVID, we had been doing a pie party at the South Lake office that was really big. And there was 3 or 4 of us that got together and we had hundreds of pies. And we were just like, what are we going to do? So we did a drive and it was like radical and COVID friendly and it was big again. We had a big marquee, we had a red carpet. So it's like the cars came in on the red carpet instead of people walking on it. And it was great. And actually, I liked it a lot better because I didn't talk to anybody for hours and then I whizzed up 5 minutes.
But she loves her client.
And then 5-minute snippets as well. So, I mean, for those socially awkward people like me, it was helpful because you didn't have to, people were talking to you, didn't have to wait for this person who's trying to catch your eye, when you're doing that cocktail thing, it's just so stressful. Anyway, so drive-through was a big hit. So it was such a big hit that we decided we're going to do it again next year. So drive-through, perfect, do it again. Then my clients were like, we don't like this. When are we going to get together and have a proper happy hour? Because we couldn't drink, it was challenging. We couldn't offer alcohol. So a lot of my clients were, we need to get back in person. So I listened to them. Okay, I like the drive-through, they don't. So then we met back in person. So that's just a testimony to listen to your people and canvas them if you need to. I didn't have to, they were on to me about what they wanted. So I then broke away from the large group and just decided to do something very different in my home. And I did it in my home last year and it was a big hit. And again, it's now more personal for my people. But each year we're growing. We had entertainment. We had a magician last year. Everybody raved about the magician. So we're doing that again. Same guy. He was awesome. We've got a caricature artist as well. So, it's growing, it's building. Tuesday's looking at me like, I think I might want to come and attend that. So now it's bigger and my business has grown, my budget's grown. It's not a cheap event. But proportionately, I guess if I was to do the math, I'm spending proportionately the appropriate amount of money on it. And it's fun for me. I get to decorate my house for Christmas way back in November, which is a great excuse. And so it's working for us, for me, for my client base. But it started off very, very different. And so we've addressed ROI, we've addressed, and then I would say just listen out for new ideas. Like I say, know your database. I have a passion to do a really amazing Easter egg hunt. I have the very best Easter bunny costume. I just don't have a database with kids in it. And every year I'm scouring my database. I'm waiting for the grandkids so that finally I can get this thing together. So it's not appropriate for me to host a big Easter bunny event because it's just not demographic. So look at your people and figure out what they would like.
I
And
have
then
6 you can borrow.
yeah, maybe I'll get
Drop them off.
maybe next.
Looks super busy.
I was gonna add something else with when we're talking about, return on investment and the money part of it and all of that, that when you talk about knowing your people, look at your database, look at your sphere of influence. One year I had a couple of like artsy people in my database who knew other artsy people, which I am not any of that. But we, my other RE/MAX office, we had an office that was very conducive to setting up like a little gift market. And which we did like mid-November. And so I invited my clients, my two, but then they brought other friends who had stuff to sell. And then I invited my clients. All I did was, I don't know, really like a cheap wine and some, meat and cheese, bread, cheese and cracker stuff. And it was really just come and shop and, have a glass of wine. And it was so fun and it was so easy. And I mean, because these artisans, they wanted to sell their stuff. So, they were inviting everybody they knew. It was just a very, again, it's just all about building your community and whatever suits you. I have a ton of sports people. And so, Rose Bowl, New Year's, all that. We did a football pool and hey, this is where we're going to be to watch the game. And come on down. You want to buy a square? And, ran one of those, whatever you call it.
The Super Bowl.
Yeah, Super Bowl square thing. So they loved it. I probably had, and I mean, this was years ago, I probably had 40 people show up. I didn't buy any, I'm not going to buy their drinks or anything. It's like, hey, this is where we're going to be. You want to come watch a game with us? So, yeah. Again, that's who we are.
What that you just said about building your community, that was something I wanted to talk about, which was why are we even doing this in the first place? Why do we want to host client events? Because we're all talking about how to do it. And I don't know if anybody out there going, why would I even want to do this? So what we're talking about here is digging into our database, our sphere, people that we know, building the relationships so that eventually we can deliver real estate, helpful information, buying, selling, serve them as clients, but they don't always start off as clients. They might start off as neighbors, people live in our neighborhood, people that we know through sports, through our kids. So there's just a whole lot of reasons why we would do this. First up is what we just talked about here is we have to organize it. No matter how small the event is, how many people you get to actually come, there's a lot of options for you here and availability for you to reach out to people. You're going to send them an Evite maybe, or what did you just say? You use
Green envelope.
Right. So some kind of electronic communication. Maybe you're mailing something, but with the best one in the world, everybody opens up their emails, and so you're going to then make some calls. Maybe you're going to send some text messages, but the reach out to your client base is easy. Like we're always trying to think about why would I call? What do I say? Well, if you're organizing an event, the dialogue's there. You want to know, did you get the invitation? Have you seen it? Can you come? Whatever. So all of that communication, it's cool, gives you all the chances to say at the end of it, any kind of real estate questions you have, whatever. So the outreach is quite obvious. And then the other pretty obvious reason that you would get people together is if you want to talk to all your database, it's a lot more efficient if they're all in one room or they're driving by really fast. All in one room, they are, you can talk to many people in a short period of time, right? So that's an obvious thing. But there's a couple of hidden reasons why we want to build this community, which was the words that were just used, is because while we have a room full of clients and I'm talking to one person, there's other people talking to each other. And the commonality, they may not know anything of each other than they know me. The reason that they know me. So the first thing they're going to talk about is me, which is fine. how do you know Sonia? She's on my house. Oh, that's, where do you live? I live here. And then they start talking you up about how wonderful you were and how you helped this person buy, you helped this person sell. Those kind of dialogues, we can't make that happen. And, it's like, it happens because they're there. And so that's great. They go away with a different impression of you, like you were, you sold them their house, but you didn't just do that to them. You did it to all these other people and they're all happy and, wonderful conversations. Then the other hidden opportunity there is that they go away thinking about you for a little while. This reticular activator for real estate, they've been in a real estate conversation, talking about you. And then as they leave, they get an interaction with another person who says they're thinking of moving. Oh, you need to go call Sonia. We just came from this great event. She's awesome. She's done this. So that only happened as quickly as easy as it did because of the conversation they just had or the environment they were just in. So they're not thinking about you all the time. Wish that happened. It happens more and more as you develop those relationships. But the more times you can get with your people, that you resurrect their interest in real estate, they go out and then they can be your advocate for a season. So those hidden opportunities there are the reasons why we do this. So if all this looks like a lot of work and all that, then, focus on why we're doing it. And like we tried to say, there's so many different opportunities and different styles of event. Find one that works for you. But just build that community and constantly do it. So throughout the year, we talk about quarterly planning. And that right now we talk about the holidays and what's available to us right now. It really is the season, but you can do Easter, you can do Valentine's, you can do
Mother's Day.
There's something every
Yes.
month if you wanted to celebrate in that way. And if you like doing these small events, then just do lots of small events. You don't have to do a huge big event ever, or you might just want to do two. We did a chicken and pickle event in the spring, which was the first time we've done that. It was a fabulous success. And so I'm digging into just two big events now, but we're always sprinkling small things too.
Well, and community, I think that's so important that you hit on that because, even as a new agent, everyone has community, even if you don't have clients yet, right? And my husband and I, we coined the phrase pinch points, finding pinch points within your community. What I mean by that is like in schools, you mentioned schools, if you have kids, and you notice that the teachers are just kind of run ragged because now they're having to monitor the lunches. Well, can you facilitate setting up a volunteer where the grandparents or the parents are coming in to actually monitor lunches so teachers have a break? Is that something you can do? That's a pinch point, right? It's something that's it's an aggravation to people that you can maybe facilitate something that relieves them. And they're so grateful, right? Or being able to, bring cookies in or the firehouse, or, there's so many different options in our community or things that we can do. And even in sports, you mentioned sports, and my son was on a recent sports team and the parents just seemed disjointed. And so just getting little bells together and putting the numbers in their kids' names on little bells so they could just like cheer their kids was so huge. And they were just like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. It just kind of created this community. All of a sudden, all the parents just started talking.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to cheer our kids on, I just wanted to like our kids need to be encouraged because they were getting like okay. But encourage them too. But it was just fun to like build community. So I think finding pinch points and stopping, we're all busy, but stopping and looking around and noticing what are the needs around you. Because I promise if you just like take inventory of wherever you're at, wherever you're involved in, you'll see needs that you can either connect people with other people, right? Make those connections like Sonya's talking about, or like you were talking about, actually facilitate a need and meet a need. So
Yeah, and anybody out there that has any questions, please put them in the chat. This is excellent information for everybody. We have an agent that does an annual Christmas ornament exchange, that kind of thing, and she gets a ton of people there now, it's just year after year. Now, when you're planning your event, looking at who are you going to invite, do you have people, how do you decide? I mean, you might have neighbors, some people might just say, I just want to do clients. Some people say, well, I didn't like that client, I hope I don't see him again. That very rarely happens. But how do you pick your list?
So the last 2 or 3 years, I've really gotten into tracking. Delayed in the tracking my part of it, but I'm here now. We're here, made my own little planner and everything. So I prioritize. I do an A+ down to a D every year now because I've noticed I was putting a lot of energy and effort in driving to Decatur and driving to Bridgeport and those sides of town that are not easy to do pop buys and do these kind of things for them to get nothing, not even a call back or in return. And so I start by anybody who has sent me a referral that year, regardless of what they have brought personally, like if they bought a house from me, if they sold. They get an invite no matter what. And then I kind of trickle down to there and towards this time of year, honestly, I don't wait till January. I do it towards this time of year where I start deleting people out of my database and I give them about a 2 year of no shows, no comments, no nothing, before I delete them. But then I do that and I prioritize with my stuff like my pie event. I invite everybody because I've learned they're not gonna show up. You know what I'm saying? And I rarely get people who just want a free pie that swing by. It's more or less the people that I've communicated with consistently that do appreciate that I still reach out to them after a sale or for whatever reason. And so I prioritize them that way. I do things like Mother's Day. I did Painting with a Twist this year. And I did want to tag on to what she said earlier about changing it up. I think my talk about part of the reason why it started going downhill is because it was redundant. And people were like, oh, I'll just catch it next year. I'll just catch it next year. And so that kind of happened. And when I did my pie or my Painting with a Twist party, I invited every mother, stepmothers, even if they didn't have biological kids, and I included them. I had a really good turnout on that. So for me, when I go through that, I prioritize based on referrals being received, the level of communication I have with them, and then work my way down from there. I don't remember the second half of that question now.
Well, we were just talking about who do you invite?
Oh, yeah, I just prioritize. So if you send me a referral, regardless of if you bought or sold, I do that. And then just go down my list. I've got about 160 people in my database. Not everybody gets invited and they are compartmentalized between like actual refers and just people kind of like, I know Tina calls them my phone roster, just like your list. So they're divided that way, but yeah, I invite a majority of my clients and especially people who send referrals.
Yeah, the same. I prioritize, and then like on the big events, everyone gets an invitation. And I, just it's the same thing. People I have connection with tend to be the ones that actually show up. But anyone I reach out to, it's still a touch. It still keeps you top of mind, right? Which is still why we do that. Which is still why we keep them in our database. And like having a database is so important. And then as far as, marketing is concerned, like National Good Neighbor Day, that was back in September. So that's an easy one. And that's just the whole neighborhood, but I'll just do a competition for brag on your neighbor. Anyone who submits a brag on your neighbor gets entered into a gift card, whatever draw. And so I have marketing events too, right? So a lot of times those are separate. Sometimes I'll invite neighbors to events also, but it's a lot of times if I am friends with them, I know that they've been, considering selling. We've already had some realistic conversations. That's when that marketing and client merge a little bit. So I'm mindful of that too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think once they give you a hint that they are interested at all, then then I'll put them on a list for a little while. If we know that, if something inexpensive is coming up or, I'm going to invite everybody anyway, at least they get a glimpse of kind of who I am, and what, maybe the way I operate. And honestly, some of those who might have been, that might not be thinking about selling for a while, they come to a party and then they see everybody else and, they're more than likely not interviewing anybody else. That's
the best way to seal the deal is to invite them around people who already love and appreciate how you work and let them hear how great you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't how I decide, I do invite everybody to a few of those events. I always called it Grateful Gathering, the pie party that is referred to. And so everybody gets that invitation because I am grateful because they are a client or they are somebody who has referred, to me. Of course I have people in my database that, they bought their first house in 1995, so, and I still have those relationships. So I'm really forced to keep it fresh, because they get tired. But I think for me, it really is more about the invitation than anything. Not everybody shows up. I might have had the greatest experience with somebody and through their transaction. I love them, they love me, and they are never gonna come to an event. They also may be the ones that will never refer me. But that doesn't mean that if they get ready to put their house on the market, they're not still gonna call me. They will. If they know I'm still in business. So that's kind of how, I've got this, I actually just scrubbed my database, seriously scrubbed it. And so, I think I have it down to. It's under 300, like 228, actually. So I have literally taken a third of those people off of that list that I have invited to all of these events. And I'm gonna do something different for them now. That's gonna be because postage has gotten expensive. I am actually, this is where my year to lean into social media. So that'll be my connection with them. They'll still get the invitation, but it's not gonna be with a stamp and paper and that stuff. So I'm still a fan of the handwritten note, obviously, but.
So we've talking about who you invite, I think everybody's used the word prioritization, and that's a feature of working by referral when you create a database and you know who are the most likely people in there to refer you, because the premise is you only have so many hours in your day, so much time to spend working with these people, so you can work first with the people that are more likely to give you some return, i.e. need you to buy or sell or give you a referral. So when you're trying to figure out the priority of inviting people, you've got to look at how they are prioritized in your database. And so Erica talked about the A plus A, B, C, and D people. So that being the A's more likely to refer you. So how do you know that? Well, you have to ask and you have to watch and see, do they give you business? Do they use you? B's less likely, but quite likely. C's, we don't know, and D's probably not. So you're not going to spend a ton of time with the D's. But I would say, Erica, when you come to delete your people, just drop them to an email only, because you never know. The point in fact, we know from about 20 years that you sell that house to somebody and you mail them and you call them and you do things for 10 years. I had about 2 years ago, someone put me up to sell after 10 years. I'm like, are you kidding me? And she's like, yeah, I always said I'd use you. In fact, my daughter said, well, aren't you going to use that real estate agent from church? She goes, no, this gal's been sending me something every month for 10 years. I'm like, oh my God, I think I just about broke even on that one. I'll for best. Worst case.
Well, they get the email, they just don't get the,
Okay.
they don't get the love anymore, like the
All right.
Popeye gifts.
So-
and the-
Prioritization, make sure that you're not focusing on the people that are less likely to refer you. You focus on the people that are more likely to. So when I invite for a client event, I start off with the A pluses and I invite kind of through B's early, like 6 or 8 weeks out, and start to see what I'm getting. If I picked a really bad day and everyone's gone and I'm just not getting a whole lot of response, then I'll go and add more people. They don't know they're in the second wave. But you just kind of keep that going until you figure out you've got enough people. But I might this year at my Thanksgiving event invite neighbors. I didn't last year, and so that's the first time I'm doing it at home and just trying to gauge it. So I might invite a few close friend neighbors. I'm not sure about that, but I don't have it's a kind of a small house, so I don't really need to have too many people. So I'm kind of a little bit restricted by the location on that. But definitely those people that have referred you, again, whether the referral closed or not, whether it was a great referral in your own mind or not, we want to reward the activity and let them know that they're in because of the referral. I want to know this is an event for my past clients. I'm referring clients and you sent me a referral. So grateful. That's why you get to come, so that they know, it's as a result of being in this community. And so they'll do it again, hopefully one that closes. But people that have referred, and then your A's through wherever part of the database makes sense for you to get the number in the return you want.
Well, to tag on that, you always have to throw an event. I remember that first year, a lot of people were like, oh, I can't come. And I took, 5 additional pies and delivered them because it was just 5 people and they were all pretty hyper local to me. So I didn't have to do a lot. So you can go to Costco, buy the pies, decorate them with the bow and put your little thing on there. I always give a thank you that I seal on there or whatever. It doesn't have to be at your house. You don't have to provide food. You don't have to provide drinks. You can deliver those things. It's the thought that counts. And that could be considered part of your marketing event or your client appreciation events about actually having to have a place for them to come and you spend all the money.
Yeah, there's even an agent in Arkansas that does like say hi for a pie, like she drives through
Yeah,
the
Haley.
neighborhood, Haley, right?
Mhm.
And has pies out of the back and her kids wave, and if you come out and say hi, she gives you a pie, you know, and it's really cute and clever and.
It's a great idea.
We have a question in the chat.
Sure.
All right, so Amanda's asking, when in the year do you start planning these fall winter events?
January. Yep, my invitations were made in January for this event. I knew what day I was doing, what time I was doing. I had my food list done. I knew who I was inviting. I had prioritized at that point. Yeah, in January is when
I don't have my list, you're very organized. I don't have all that together, so if you're not that organized, but I do know the events. I know the events we're doing, and then we really try hard to set the date, but I have to wait for the Cowboy schedule to come out. If we do Sunday, because I want to make sure it's a bye week, if it's a Sunday, it's important. You know, you have to think about this, these things, but, yeah, January, that's when we do our planning.
Yeah, I don't, I've gotten super lax the last few years. Yeah, I'll be winging most of this, but I will say, when I was. When I was on point, it absolutely, I mean, I was done for the year by March. I mean, it was the dates, it was the venues, it was everything. And just, because then it's off your plate, it's done, and you can actually go sell real estate. So, and I was gonna add something else to that when we were talking about, your touch points and who you refer and stuff. Especially for the new agents who may be listening to this, when you are talking about your database, one, you must have one. But two, when you start getting those referrals, you need to make sure you're tying those people together. And this is kind of a little off topic, but not. I had clients who I really, really liked. And before I was really diligent about tying the referral to the, the referee. By the time I did that, I saw that these one couple, they were nice. They never came to anything. They had referred me $70,000 in commissions worth of referrals. I never knew it. I almost dropped them off my list because they did not actually come to anything. So be very careful how you get, don't get all caught up in this. I mean, there's still this bottom line numbers thing. That you really need to track. And I may not like these people, they're really nice, but they didn't come to my party, so I figured they didn't like me. But I knew they were referring me. I just never kept track of it.
Right.
It was shocking.
So if anybody uses the Bini CRM, I had done a lot about tracking, but if you do track in there, it gives you a report for your top referrers. So you can eyeball that, make sure that those people are getting reported. Because you get busy and it's harder to keep track of all that stuff. But the benefit of putting it in, you can pull it out and use it to your benefits. So good point.
Well, it's amazing to me how many times I talked to somebody that was selling their home. And I just, after I got the agreement signed, I'd say, who was your last realtor? And most of them would say, I don't remember. And just by not following up. And that is hard when you start cleaning up a database. You don't know, we have to use our best judgment on, is this person an A client, a B client, or whatever. And sometimes we can be wrong. So again, whenever you say delete, I know that's more of a delete from that, but we're going to keep emailing them stuff. The newsletter. If y'all started using the newsletter, Abby has done yet? Usually has.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think the November one just came out. That's an easy, just take it and send it. But some people will create stuff on their own that, that they want to do specifically, but that's easy. It's done for you.
And I think, if I can just move ahead with that point you just made, sometimes we're looking for responses, right? We've already talked about, somebody that never replied, pop by, they never called you back, they never responded to anything that you sent. And so you start to think, oh, they don't like me. They don't want anything else from me. But it's hard to, we want some feedback, but sometimes we don't always get it. But sometimes when you're doing that, what you're missing is the fact that they saw it. You know, they had to step over the pop by on the doorstep, you know, when you to get in the house, so they jolly well saw it, you know? And if you take the picture of it and say, sorry, I missed you, everyone sees everything on the phone, but they just didn't respond. So that's okay. You still were there top of mind for a period. And if they get an email from you every month, at least maybe they don't even open it, but they see it's from you. And when they need you, they will reply. And that's their prerogative. It's not their job to love on us. We love on them. And then they need something from us. So in the Buffini world, we send a mailing every month and an email. And it's the email that generates the response from the client. Oh, I was meaning to ask you this question. Sometimes it's a real estate need, sometimes it's just a carpet cleaner or something, but it's the email because they get the mail or they see you and they're like, oh, I have something I need to do, but it's not when they see the email. Now they can really, reply and type it real fast. It's like top of mind job done. You have to find your number and all that stuff. But so don't discount the fact that you're giving and not perceiving that those are responses.
That, one of the next one, again, it's how far in advance do you advertise it? And, how do you get that out there? I mean, used to, it was email. First it was phone calls, then it was emails, now it's text. I just wish somebody would let me buy some insurance on my health insurance, I think I get 2 a day.
Or more.
But how do you reach out to them? What method and how far in advance do you send it?
I would say like my save the dates are probably about 6 weeks in advance. And then I have learned that for me personally and my clients, I think we're all procrastinators, my entire group are, about 3 weeks before the party is when I send my actual invitations out through green envelope, and it allows for the option for them to pick their pie right then and there. If they're not going to, it tells me who's seen it, who's not seen it. I used to do snail mail. Until I started doing my follow-up calls, about a week before saying, hey, I want to see if you got my card. And so many people were like, no, I didn't ever see that. I didn't receive it. And I would be like, okay, that's insane. This way I can see who's opened it, who's not opened it, and track it a little bit better. So I can plan my follow-up calls. And then, so it's 6 weeks for the save dates, 3 weeks before the party is in the invitation. And then I follow up 2 to 3 days before I actually go plan to purchase pies. Just to ensure people are coming or not coming. So it's several touch points are there. And then every now and then I'll text my favorites. I'm just going to say it the right way. My favorites and say, hey, I know you saw the save the date, super excited. I really hope you come. And then from there I can say, this person's coming. Because one thing Sonia kind of touched on is like when they come and they mingle and they meet and they build relationships, it makes it easier for them to come the following years because they feel like they're going to have a friend at that event. So you're able to say so-and-so is coming and whatnot.
Very good.
So that's kind of my timeline.
Okay.
So a month out is usually when I send, and I've been doing Punchbowl recently. So I'll just do a Punchbowl, like save the date. And then I will follow up a couple of weeks, like a reminder will go out, but then I start doing text messages. So I will start texting and saying, hey, I'm, either I know because it's the same, you can see who's seen it and who hasn't. And I will say this too, on Punchbowl, if you do email, you can only do like 1 email, you can't input 2. So if I see that like someone hasn't read it, I'll send it to the other spouse or someone else too, just to see if the other one is more responsive. But that's when I kind of start text messaging, and I'll just try to fit in, 7 to 10, at a time. And usually I can copy and paste generally that. So it's pretty quick, right? That message. Yeah, and I will say this, on the one event we did, the picture event, it was not planned ahead. It was very last minute in that I knew we weren't going to do the Santa event, but I was trying to figure out what to do. And I didn't personally want to do the pie event. And so I was just trying to figure out what to do and where, and I was literally scouring for a venue, a place, what do I do? And it was kind of the last minute. So like we're in September, I finally found a location. I found what I want to do. And so I just jumped on it. So I think my clients maybe got a 3-week notice on this event, but we had a huge turnout. So
that's best. I'm learning that they need the last minute to prepare, because if you get to 6 weeks in advance, some people just feel like they want to go then. And then when the time comes close, they no longer feel like attending.
yeah.
So it's like you give them less room to like mentally prepare. It's like the more people show up.
And I will say, and you probably did this too, the follow-up. So like a 3 to 4 day ahead follow-up of like, can't wait to see you. at the event, just something simple, really fast, it really does help too, just because people get busy and sometimes they just forget, and so.
Well, and I create a Facebook after I send the invites out, so it's not as impersonal. I create a Facebook group to like thank my vendors who are just going to be there. I don't ask them to pay for that event, but I kind of promote a vendor a day or a week or so, and then, hey, super excited, we're only a few hours out. Here's a sneak peek, that kind of thing on a Facebook. But I make that one of the last things I do, maybe like a week before, because I don't want it to be impersonal as everybody else does Facebook. It's
Do you Facebook on your business or on your personal?
my personal.
So I don't do Facebook, so maybe I should. I do, sometimes I do it after, but I don't, I haven't done Facebook thing. Do you guys all do Facebook as well? Like for your events?
No,
No.
I don't.
Do you feel like it makes a difference on your event for Facebook?
It does for people canceling. Like for me, I want to know how many pies I have left over. Because as people are coming, you're looking at your pies and you're kind of like, I already buy 5 extra. So I panic towards the end. It's like, oh God, even one person, I'm gonna have 5 pies sitting here. Who am I gonna take those to? So I also plan for neighbors. I've had 2 years in a row where people showed up like, oh, I know I did RSVP. And I'm like, okay, what pie did you ask for? And so you're giving away a pie, and at that point, then you become short. So I always buy in advance, but for me, it's great to know who's canceling because I have my little list of people and what they ordered where I can say, okay, this is going to be a free pie, and I can almost set it to the side and feel more comfortable about it. But
And school's out, so you can't take it to school, right?
yeah, I can't take it to school. So I just do my neighbors. I have I do raffles and stuff, and I try to engage in my HOA page that way as a neighborhood realtor, and I've kind of farmed that area. So I just go to like what y'all say, the people who you touch base with in your neighborhood. They're on their own separate list, and I'll go to them. That's who I'm going to deliver my pies to this year.
I've done, historically, I use BombBomb and create the template where they can check, what kind of pie they want. That way I can see who is actually opening it, who is not opening it. And those who opened it but may not have RSVP, that's when I have started using text. I mean, this is what I did last year. I don't really worry about doing, getting too many. Certainly when I did it here, the last time we had, I don't know, I had quite a few left over. It's one of the few times I actually used a whole Facebook live thing. I took my extra pies and took them down to the Union Gospel Mission and dropped them off. And so, so people like that, they like, I didn't want to gripe about good grief. I just spent an additional $120 I didn't have to spend, that's just stupid. And it got me out of the frustrated, mindset is, come on, people, you RSVP, where are you? And so, there's lots of things to do with whatever that extra step is. But the BombBomb with building the template with the checks and letting them choose what they want. And then you can see everything. You can see all of the engagement, which I really like that. And then when you text, I cut and paste that BombBomb link for them to be able to. Oh yeah, I forgot to RSVP. Oh yeah, I forgot to pick my pie, and that was pretty immediate. Actually, that worked really well.
I haven't used BombBomb for that, but it sounds a pretty good idea. But Evite offers pretty much those same facilities. So that's what we've been using, and kind of got into the role of that because you can copy the invite from my sheets.
Yeah.
I kind of stuck with that, but I might have to look at BombBomb. But what I found is helpful is text last minute on the day off.
Yeah.
Because my events are typically in the evening, they don't start till 4 or 5 o'clock. And just because somebody thought about you at 9 a.m. does mean that by 2 they haven't forgotten they're supposed to come to a pie. So I tend to text a picture, take a picture of myself holding a pie, and then type, take it through the photo file, somebody can put pick up 5 to 6 or whatever, and then just text that to everybody. And then typically usually I get people just a response and thumbs up, happy face, or if I don't get a response from that, then those are the people that I might check in with again just to see. So I really don't usually get extra pies left. So that, if I get 1 or 2 left, I might drive by, depending on. This is a big question. Do we drive by with the rest of the pies? So I don't think it's a good idea to offer to people up front that if you can't come on, bring your pie, because now you're going to have a lot of pies to deliver because you got people that are out there going, oh, I'll take the pie. I just don't want to do other people get it. So I would suggest maybe not doing that unless you're with a small group and it's a group and you're planning to take the pies. That's different. But if you're planning to have an event where they come and get them, don't give them the opportunity that you'll take it. So that's always worked well for me. So I might have 1 or 2 left. And it's usually people that have let me down, I got caught at work, or the babysitter let me down, or I'm sick, or whatever. And then depending on how close they are, if I'm kind of on my way home or whatever, then I will drop them off. And that's worked very well, because now they're really grateful because they did want to come and they feel bad and now they get their pie. Next level is they messed up and I don't want to take it. So I'll just say, pick it up at the office tomorrow between 8 and 5 and leave it at the front desk. That's like level 2. And then if it's just the total bust and I have pies, then I have donated it to the firefighters or something. But I think at the end of the day, if you have a lot of pies left and you feel like you have to deliver them, that's going to take away from the good feeling of the whole thing. It's like, oh, now I have to go and take all these pies. So try and plan it so that doesn't happen.
It's like needing a vacation after your vacation.
Yeah,
Because it's like needing a vacation after your vacation.
yeah, I know there's a lot of hard work involved in doing the pie. See that? How far in advance do you order them?
I don't order them. I just go pick them up. So the pumpkin pies have to be refrigerated. If not, they'll grow mold. Learned that one year the hard way. So you have to refrigerate them. So I typically go, if my party's on Tuesday, I'll go that Monday and pick up my pies. I have never ever has Costco failed me on their pies. They have, I don't know how they sell those. Like there's so many at that time that I've never ordered pies for that. I go and they're typically just rows and rows and rows of them.
Yeah, I was just curious on that, because again, you see that it's always a circus in there and, but they do.
I order mine. I would order mine through Costco, and the reason I order them because they won't put the price sticker on it.
Ah.
So if I say that.
Fun. This is why you pay attention to what other agents say, because that is the worst part of getting the pies is having to take the sticker that's the size of your head off of it. Thank you. Fun fact for the day, guys. Order them and the sticker won't be there.
Yeah.
Great.
You have to tell them. But
Yeah.
That's the one thing
it's a big deal.
again, a lot of work, but there's a big return on that. There's everybody loves those. What was your, what's the favorite event that you have of the year
My pie party.
or pie party?
It's the photo event. for sure.
Photo event.
No, I love Coyote Drive-In that we do in the spring.
Yes.
I've been doing that for years. And I love Burgers for Babies. So
Probably my pie party.
You know, for some newer agents out there, I know that, we talk about, oh, well, the pie party, well, maybe you don't have enough people to do that or afford it, but there are so many things out there, Burgers for Babies. That food drive was an excellent idea, you know, that kind of thing. Or marketing to your neighborhood. There's a realtor that has my neighborhood Facebook page, and it's a huge neighborhood, that there's 7,000 members of it. You know, and so that's where you can go do stuff that doesn't cost much. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm wrapping up here and asking anything you would like to add to what we've talked about, advice for people.
Well, right now, all I'm thinking about is mastermind with other agents, so you learn not to put stickers on your pies. But I think for me, honestly, I do depend on other agents. I think it's really, really important to have, you know, good people who know what they're doing on your side so that you can collaborate together. It's some of the best work I've ever done is talking to another agent and figuring out what they've done and what I can do differently, because sometimes you do fail. You know, for me, I just had a baby and I feel like this is my year of falling and I'm having a really hard time with that. And so trying to get back into the office and doing things like this is really important to me, because I think you're going to be able to get to the next level by seeing next level people. And if you're the smartest person in the room, you're never going to grow. And so it's for me, I love sitting next to these group of ladies because they definitely are a little bit, they're way more successful than I am. I'm successful in my own right, but compared to, I love it because I can sit here and I can hear the things that they say, and I know that I'm going to grow from this opportunity. So honestly, I would say get in front of agents who are better than you and don't be fearful of that, because all you're going to do is grow and learn and move forward from that.
Reminds me of the Mindset book. That's one of my favorite books ever. If you guys haven't read Mindset by Carol Dweck, totally worth your time. And I think you're right, just always being willing to grow and learn. This business just changes. And if you think you have learned everything there is to know, you're probably not gonna be the best agent out there. I also would say too, especially to our newer agents, you know, if you're not doing any events, and you're hearing about all the different events that we do, like, you know, I do 2 main events, I do little things all throughout. You know, I do a little thing for St. Patrick's Day. And, you know, I do things for National Good Neighbor Day, right? But pick one thing, just master it, get good at it, you know, figure out who is going to do your marketing, you know, piece. If you're going to have something printed, right? Figure out if you're going to pair up with someone, like just take one thing on. Don't overwhelm yourself, because I think it gets overwhelming when you try to think, oh my gosh, I have to do all this. I have to do something quarterly. You don't. This is your own business. So, and someone else said it, and I'm just going to say it again. You know, do what is within your wheelhouse to do, what you're gifted in doing, what excites you. So if you get excited about anything you've heard, that's probably what you should be doing. And not everything is going to be your forte. I don't love the pie event. I'm probably the only agent in all of RE/MAX that does not like the pie event at all. But that's okay. And everyone loves it, you know. So again, it's okay. You know, do what excites you and what you love, and just start where you are, and then you can build from there. So like once you kind of have an event or something for your clients, or even your neighborhood or your community, and you kind of have that down, then you can just build from there.
I would just say, I mean, really along the same lines, just be true to yourself. And because like does attract like, your clients are you're going to have similar values as your clients most of the time over the long term. And so just be authentic and don't get all caught up in, oh, well, I know, I mean, personally, I had like this real mental block against a certain price point, and which was stupid, but it was a overcoming my comfort level. You know, there's like this fine line. You want to be true to yourself, but at the same time, you have to learn how to engage other people that are different. And so when you're planning an event or thinking about how you want to reach out to people, don't get all caught up in, oh, what are they going to think of that? Or what are they going to think of me? It doesn't matter. It's all about, if it is sincere, that's what matters. And so just be true to yourself. If you want to spoil somebody in a certain way, spoil them. And don't worry about, oh, it's only a $5 Starbucks card. Who doesn't love that? So
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say. People appreciate even the smallest of gestures. I had a really successful movie watching. It wasn't a movie night, it was movie afternoon, when Downton Abbey movie came out. So I had a bunch of my lady friends who had like 2 rows in the cinema, and I bought their tickets, and they were thinking they were just going to come and watch the movie with me. So they were like, you know, how much do you for the ticket? I'm like, no, I got that. They were just thought that was the best thing. You know, I spent thousands of dollars on the pie party, but this was like, you know, just so, but it's just like, it was just real. It was like fun. It was the right group of people. They appreciated the British side of, you know, where I came from. And so it's like, yeah, they came to Downton Abbey. So if it's something like that, it doesn't have to be a huge expense. It's more meaningful. But so then the other thing is just ask us. Ask other agents. I think I don't know, nobody ever asks me to, you know, go to lunch and tell them what I do, but I'm going to do that. But you know, I think people are hesitant because one wants to. Yeah, we don't. So you know, it's like if you, and that's how Brian Buffini taught us. He went and asked all the other people that he saw that were successful. And they'll take you to lunch and ask you how you do what you do. And you know, to be honest, most people want to talk about what they do, right? Here we are talking about what we do. So if you want to dig in and ask other people, if you've heard somebody here say something about an event that they do that resonates with you, ask them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then learn that way.
Well, I will say that, you know, again, if you have questions, reach out, because that's what I love about our company. Everybody loves to help each other. And then one quick story, this is 20 years ago, but I was driving down the road, the phone rang, and the agent at the front desk said, hey, somebody called about leases. Do you do leases? I said, yeah, sure. They transferred the client over to me. I'm driving along the road. She goes, do you do leases? I said, yes, they do. She goes, great. I want to buy 5 houses and lease them out. And so that, the agent that answered the phone did not just, oh, Elise, not even another question. Well, Tracy and I, again, appreciate everybody that takes time out of the Zoom, and especially to y'all for, giving your time and helping out here. And so we appreciate it very much. Everybody have a great day.
All right. Before you all run away, I want to get a picture.
I did.